Hey everyone, it's Maria. Sorry I didn't get to doing this video yesterday, but I was just having too good of a day with my mom. Right now, I'm still at her cabin up on Whidbey Island. I'm actually going to be moving up here next month. So we've just been talking about all sorts of plans, just, kind of plotting out all that. But I wanted to make a little video because yesterday was Friday the 13th and just kind of talk about well, the whole notion of luck and how luck and chance play a role in divination and some of the related things. Because, like, in my opinion, there is, like, an inherent, there's an inherent virtue that's similar between, say, gambling and foretelling the future. Not that they're not the same thing, but a similar virtue. I think a lot of like ceremonial magicians would probably think of this as being like the mercurial virtue that is seen as being at the heart of both of them. Mercury as a god and its Greek equivalent Hermes, while both being gods of magic, were also gods of gambling and liars. So just a little thought about that right there. Now, Friday the 13th, of course, is a famously unlucky day. It's kind of like my favorite, pseudo-holiday. I kind of always feel like it's a special day anytime it happens in the year. It's like a weird traveling holiday. There's a weird, just liminal place that exists in Friday the 13th that I don't think really exists in any other day, barring maybe February 29th, which this year was a leap year, so we had that. So a lot of people, think Friday the 13th is a really unlucky day. Of course, there's one of my favorite series of horror movies, of course, is inspired by this as well. And it's a very much just a kind of a baked into our culture at this point. Now, I want to point out kind of a similarity here in that sometimes things that are seen as unlucky can also be keys to luck. You see this in Conjure with things like black cat oil, and just black cat formulas are used to bring back gambling luck, for instance. So the number 13, as far as being unlucky, I've never had that experience with it. I think it's a power number, similar to like numbers 9 and 11. It's really powerful for magic. It's useful specifically for gambling magic. But when it comes down to it, oftentimes, Paracelsus said it, the dose makes the poison, right? Like, sometimes the things that can harm you can also heal you, and sometimes things that can heal you can also harm you. So when it comes to luck and losing one's luck, you can kind of use the same things and use some of the same tactics to either bolster your own or steal someone else's. In the cards, things I look for when I'm worried about a jinx, and generally, my thing is that when I go in for a reading, when I sit down with a client, or if I'm divining for myself, I don't come in with any. I try not to diagnose before I've thrown the cards, basically. So, like, I don't go, oh, I think you've been jinxed, or oh, I think you've been crossed, oh, I think you've been hexed. I try not to diagnose it without throwing down the cards, because there's going to be, in my experience, specific cards that are going to show up as omens. One of these is the Seven of Spades. Seven of Spades is, I call it the jinx card. I think a couple other people do, too. I got that from Charles Porterfield. His book, Deck of Spells, was really, really influential on me, and kind of helped me develop my own style of playing card reading. I owe a lot to that man, so I would definitely recommend checking out A Deck of Spells if you are wanting a quick little read on the simples, ins and outs of cartomancy, as well as playing cards in your magic, because that's another thing that I do, as well as others, and it's a great way of just kind of going from a reading to working, you know? Like when you're doing a reading for somebody and a specific card shows up, whether it's for weal or woe, you know, you might want to take that card and use it in a working if you're doing work on behalf of a client. I try to give my clients advice primarily about doing things like that for themselves. I have done work for others, though I'm sometimes hesitant about it, mostly just because of my own life being so crazy, and I just don't always have the availability to be able to offer that. But when I do, I tend to take hints from what shows up in the cards when I'm divining for a person. I feel like I'm getting off topic here, though. So yeah, what was I? Oh, when I go into a reading, even if I have suspicions, I'm going to ask the cards, what's the source of an affliction? Because I think that tends to lead to a more organic diagnosis versus trying to force what you think the situation might be. And sometimes you're correct. That's the other thing. This is so that you can kind of start building that trust and strength in your own intuition. By going to the cards and being like, well, what's going on? What's the source of the affliction? And then I also, too, and some people might disagree with me on this, but just hear me out and let me explain my reasoning here. But I'm a big fan of doing multiple readings to confirm issues as serious as a jinx or a hex. I tend to do at least 2 readings. I'll do my initial reading for a client where I'll ask what the source of the affliction is. And if the right cards show up to indicate that they're being worked on, then I'll do another reading that's a simpler 3-card reading. I'll do a yes or no spread, which is just 3 cards, and it's pretty simple. 2 or more red cards is a yes, 2 or more black cards is a no. I can also use a pendulum to do the same thing. And sometimes I do that. It's just, I really like working with the cards. I intrinsically just go, okay, I've taken a picture of the first spread. I can remember what the omens were that showed up. I'm going to reshuffle and ask a new question. But if you don't want to throw again, you can always use a pendulum, as long as you've invoked your guiding spirits enough. It's really important. It's really important that the first thing you do in a reading is you call them in, because then they can actually answer you through the pendulum if need be. But once you have 2 confirmations that something is being done to your client, then you can move on from there and start looking at possibilities for basically for treatment for them, how to get them out of this situation, how to get them uncrossed, how to get their luck back. And also, too, I will say, like, oftentimes people, we're very capable of, shitting the bed. Sometimes our issues are entirely our own fault, and you're going to see that in the cards. There are clear ways of being able to see when somebody else is doing the work and when it's something the client did. So I know I said I wanted to talk about luck and random chance and games of chance. So, I mean, there's a reason we shuffle the cards, right? We don't want to just know what the order is. But that random chance, that's the spirits putting the cards where they need to be. It seems random to us. And indeed, it is a way of us randomizing where the cards are, but it's a way of us allowing the spirits to communicate by letting them form their own sentences. So, at the heart of it, it's an element of how the spirits communicate with us. And so, like, when you're gambling, you can... I don't know how many of you are gamblers. I've only done it a couple times. I really like blackjack, though. That's my favorite card game. But, you can kind of... That's a game where you kind of got to trust your gut. I mean, there's tricks to it. trying to pay attention to how many aces and tens you've seen, how many face cards you've seen show up, betting what the odds are that the dealer's going to have blackjack when they flip that other card over. All of it's very, all of it's intuitive in that way. And I get a sense that gambling is like the fun side of this spirit, the spirit of divination, the spirit who communicates through these things. I'm sure there's many spirits that do it, but I'm just saying, like, the spirit of the place, the spirit of the thing you're doing. I see a remarkable similarity between the feeling of when I'm about to throw the cards and when I'm about to fold or ask to be hit again at the table, Because you're in a liminal place. When you approach divination, you're at a place in between, because you're in between knowing and not knowing. And when you're gambling, it's the same thing. You're in the liminal place between winning and losing. A little bit more serious there, because you got money on the table, but then again, you got money on the table with the diviner, right? And you're kind of betting that they know what they're doing. So, doesn't seem that different to me. But luck is something I wholeheartedly believe in. I think there's a lot to it that, there's a lot of things in life we're given by luck, and a lot of things that can happen to us just because we're unlucky. So trying to pay attention to that and bolster our chances of having good luck is worth it. I'm a little bit superstitious there. I like stacking the deck for myself, so to speak, spiritually speaking. So, when it comes down to it, if you're a person who doesn't believe in luck, or you're a person who doesn't believe in fate, then you're probably not a person who believes in spirit, and you're probably not a person I'm talking to right now. But there are myriad things you can do to change your luck, Of course, there's also times where things that are happening have nothing to do with luck, actually. Like, there can be plenty of terrible situations that are brought on by life because they need to happen. And so that's another thing where it's important for diviners to understand that not every single negative occurrence in a client's life is a sign of bad luck or a sign of negative magic. Sometimes when we're doing our best, we can have life hit us with the worst because that's something we need to go through that will make us stronger for a situation down the road, or for something that's coming our way that we really need to learn a lesson. Because the spirits are the ones who see and know this stuff. So they're the ones who are, they'll give you a warning if need be, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes you can be perfectly in alignment with your destiny and still have the absolutely worst shit you can imagine seemingly ruining your life. But you gotta keep an open perspective. You gotta keep your perspective open to the possibility that what you're going through just needs to happen, and remember that it will end. It's not forever. And good luck and bad luck are also not forever. All this just exists in the in-between, between birth and death, and that's what life is. So, are you going to take the bet? I think I've rambled for enough. I think I've rambled enough. There we go. My words aren't so good. Still drinking my coffee. I took a little break to sit out here on the porch and talk with y'all. But I'll be back next week with another couple videos. I don't know what they're going to be about yet. I have a lot going on. I'm going to be moving here in a couple weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Not quite sure, but I'm starting to get ready to move. But I'm going to keep myself pretty busy trying to make more content for the channel. Of course, also reaching out and working with my clients. I'm always accepting new clients, so if you have any reason, any inclination whatsoever, don't hesitate. Send me a message here, send me a message on Instagram, send me a message on Facebook through my page, or you can email me. As always, all my contact information will be available down below. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to y'all later, okay?